Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for High Score Girl Season 1 on Netflix. And I really enjoyed this anime. I just was into kind of the art style and kind of the conceit of, okay, there's this one dude who really likes fighting games, and he finds this kind of girl that's usually top of the class and everything, kind of by herself, and they go head to head, and he kind of gets screwed over by her, and just kind of what goes on from that. And they executed it very well. I loved how it's pretty much just like a slice of life, but just focused on like gaming and arcades, and like in the early 90s to like the mid 90s of like the arcade life in Japan and all these cool games, and they just did it very well. Now, I'm not even really into fighting games, but just seeing the passion that these kids had for it, I'm like, yes. Now, granted, this was like the generation before me. I got into it more as arcades were going out and more into the home consoles and the PlayStation 2 era, though I was introduced with like the Sega Genesis, man. Heck yeah. So, it's really cool to kind of see the evolution because it starts in elementary school with Haruo, and he's like going around. All he thinks about is games. He doesn't really do very well in school. Everybody kind of really doesn't. It's not open hostility, but everybody's like, you just like video games too much. And we're like, teachers and people were like, don't hang out in those degenerate places. I'm like, then how else are these kids supposed to blow off steam? Because that's an important part of his other classmate, Ono. She uses those to blow off steam and just actually be able to de-stress from her life. And it's crazy because she's a great character who doesn't really speak. It's in those powerful moments when she actually lets her emotions out, either by physical force or like crying or whatnot. It's holy crap. So seeing them and their kind of relationship develop is the core part of this series. Now, granted, there's pretty much three arcs, pretty much elementary school, middle school, and then kind of getting into high school. And I don't want to get too much into it because they do a very good job of it. There's other characters introduced, like this one female character, Hidaka, and she's pretty cool, and just kind of a different kind of take that does very well with Ono. It's not like she's a complete copy and paste of Ono. It's like, oh, okay, she's really got her own character development. She actually talks, and she becomes kind of embroiled in with Haruo as well. And it's just cool seeing their adventures and seeing them go through different games and experience different games and experiencing the different consoles. And I'm like, even though I didn't use those, seeing it played out with all these different technologies of like going from the arcade to going to the home console and be like, oh my god, it was giving me goosebumps because I then was going through, oh god, I can remember kind of feeling these ways about this way about these games and talking about it with my friends and everything. And even though we were kind of had that shift and I was in a different realm in the more home console market, I was just like, yes, I understand your passion for it because that's the kind of passion I have for the games as well. Now, my only kind of downside for this anime is how it ends. Now, it does have a resolution for pretty much everything that was going on in most of the conflicts in the last arc. But it ends in such a cliffhanger fashion, setting it up for another thing that it's like, no! And it's not like even the Devil's a part-timer where it's like, okay, this ended, they did close it out. If there's not another season, fine. This is like, ooh! Now, granted, I know that there's 3 OVAs, and I hope Netflix gets them as soon as possible because I'm going, this was really good. They did very good character development with Haruo as he's going through and growing up and getting through all these different games and having and figuring out what it is to be a kid and growing up as a kid. Same with Ono. But granted, Haruo is kind of the main focus, with Hidaka becoming a kind of foil to him focus-wise, where we go into her head and trying to figure out what's going on. We also see some of the other classmates doing some kind of crazy stuff, but Haruo, Ono, and Hidaka are the main kind of forces, and they do a very good job of giving focus when it's needed and developing those around them enough to make it like, that's a cardboard cutout kind of guy. Not that the animation looks like a cardboard cutout, but you know where you're essentially playing something and like, that's an NPC right there, and what you see is what you get. Like, you go up and you just tap them over and like, hey, that's cardboard down. No, you get into Haruo with his other kind of friends, the kind of popular douchebag dude who you actually start feeling for a little bit. Granted, not much because he's not a big focus, but they even develop him now. And I love the animation style that they did for this show because you have to be careful when you're using CGI because otherwise it would look, if you're not careful, certain things can look unnatural. That does not happen with this. They do such an amazing job of making it look like 2D but completely brought to 3D. I know it's 3D, but it's not that much of that jankiness. I don't really notice that. The hands don't look weird. The movements of the hands and like cars and even bringing in the old school games, like they bring them in. They've got the computer generated arcade thing and you see the game there and it's done as the game. And I'm like, yes. Any kind of game company that would be like, don't use our stuff. I'm like, you're advertising this. This is just advertising for your games, and you can bring that to another audience and get people to play these great and amazing games. And we're just like, yes, this is great. We need more about this stuff. Looking into games and be like, yes, awesome. And it doesn't really take you out. It's like, all right, I'd rank it as like, oh. Now, granted, I wouldn't rank it as like the top that I've seen, but it works as like one of the top CGI ones that I've seen. Like, this looks like an amazing anime. They do care and attention to making their characters be brought to life, and the expressions and everything just work very well because you actually know kind of the mental state of characters. You see Haruo with this weird evil kind of face. You see this dude pounding on a game when he's getting angry at it. You see these subtle expressions that Ono has because those are the things that are telling you what she's kind of feeling with the kind of certain shape of her mouth, if she's kind of smiled it up or if she's frowning or if she's concentrating or whatnot. It just does a good job of making the CGI convey what hand-drawn animation can convey as well, bringing it into that good kind of realm because there's some CGI ones that I'm like, that is janky as hell, and I don't know anybody that walks like that. Never had any of those moments with this one. And I would recommend this really to anyone. It isn't really violent. I mean, you get the usual kind of, he's acting like an idiot, yandere mode engaged. But other than that, there's no like intense blood or gore, but I kind of find it funny that Ono is kind of afraid of some of the games. And I'm like, wow. That scared people back then, and they thought it was super violent. And I'm looking over here, and I'm like, God, I had to have this conversation with Gears of War and chainsawing people, and God of War and ripping God's heads off. And I'm like, come a long way. But I respect those games because they paved the way for what we eventually got. So, if you're really into kind of the slice of life and just kind of the gamer kind of atmosphere, and even just kind of wanted to learning about history, because it even talks about like the release dates of what was happening around those times. This would definitely be one to get into, and especially with like pretty good character development as well. If you're looking for an actiony kind of one, this isn't really your bag. This is more focused on character development and kind of going through the history and the time period of Japan at that point in regards to games and how it affected young people and informs these characters' journeys. So those are my opinions on the anime. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.